Hi guys, Darrel Smith from South Dakota, except I'm not in South Dakota. I'm in a motel in mid Missouri. Unfortunately, I kind of got myself into a bind here. I got lazy. When I started doing these videos, I got about 20 of them done before we even put the first one on the internet, on YouTube. And I've gotten lazy, and we publish one a week, and I've gradually used up my stockpile, and I'm down to the end. Well, I intended to get some of them done, but yesterday we got some unfortunate news, and my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, passed away, and I'm suddenly left South Dakota to go to her funeral in Tennessee. The one thing also I did was leave. I have a book that I'm marking and keeping up with as I go through. I'm telling the stories as I printed them in the book, but I forgot to bring my book along. So this story is going to be from memory alone. I don't know if that's good or worse or what, but that's the way it is. I'm in, as I said, a hotel. Glenda and I was a captain, got a captain's bid on the 747, and I got checked out. And then once you get checked out, you bid whatever position is available that you can hold. So with my seniority, I don't know why anybody didn't want to go to Hawaii, but they didn't seem to. And with my seniority, I was able to hold a captain's position on the 747 in Honolulu. I don't think I'll tell this in any other story, but I thought it was very interesting. I'd never been a captain and flown across the ocean before. I'd been across the ocean many times, but not as a captain. Glenda and I arrived in Honolulu, mid-afternoon maybe, and walked into the operations, and they said, "Boy, are we glad you're here. You're going on a flight to Osaka tomorrow." And that kind of shocked me because I thought I'd have a few days to get my feet on the ground and to get situated. But they said, "No, you're going tomorrow." So we went to a hotel, and I told Glenda I'd find us a place to live while I'm gone. We didn't have a rental place or anything. And so another little aside to the thing, it was the next morning we did our pre-flight planning, and we were in the aircraft and doing our checks, and the co-pilot said, I think I ought to tell you, this is my first flight as a co-pilot on the 747. And I said, "What?" I said, "This is my first flight too." So we kind of laughed and said, "We'll make it some way." So, and we did. It was no problem at all. So anyway, I'm in Honolulu, and I'm flying a regular basis back and forth. And I think I've mentioned before that when I was the chief pilot, and retirement was coming pretty soon. And but I'd try to fly a trip to Tokyo and back every month in order to be proficient, and then to be able to discuss with some knowledge what the problems were on the line, or what the problems these guys might run into. So I did fly every month. Well, on one of these trips, we were getting toward retirement. On one of these trips, we flew to Tokyo. Nothing unusual happened, and as I've mentioned before about your body clock gets screwed up and you can't sleep when you want to sleep, and that sort of thing. So you're tired a lot, and sometimes those long overnight, you take off and fly all night long. Sometimes it would get pretty boring, and it's pretty hard to stay awake actually. So we were up there, and it was real quiet. Nobody was saying anything. We were just monitoring. The autopilots and AutoNav were operating, so we just monitored and logged and made radio reports when we had to. Well, oh man, I wish I'd have thought of this. I can't remember his name, the co-pilot. Now, maybe I'll remember it during the thing. And he knew that I was coming up on retirement, and he said, what are you going to do with your uniform after you retire? And I said, I'll never use it again. I don't know. And he said, how about donating it to the Smithsonian? And I said, well, sure, whatever. And tell him, give me an address or something. And he gave me an address, and I got paperwork back from the Smithsonian. They said, if you choose to send us your uniform, you've donated it forever. You won't ever get it back. And I said, oh, what the heck? So I signed a release and packaged up the whole uniform and shoes, socks, pants, shirt, coat, no underwear. I didn't send underwear. Anyway, I sent it to the Smithsonian and forgot it. After months, and I literally had just about forgotten that I'd done it, I got a letter, and it informed me that my uniform would be used as a display in the Air and Space Museum. I think I haven't seen it in person, but they took one of the first 747s that and Northwest Airlines got one of the very first, and it was number 601. I don't know why they numbered it that or how that came about, but the Northwest had donated that aircraft to the Smithsonian, and I had donated my uniform. And they cut off the front section. You know, the 747 has a hump on top, and they cut some of that, about the first, 20 feet, 30 feet of it, and lopped it off and threw the rest of the airplane away and mounted that nose section against the wall as if the airplane is coming through the wall. And there's stairways up, and the door is open, and you can go in, and you can't go in the cockpit, but you can stand in the doorway and look in the cockpit. Well, that's where my uniform is. There's a dummy there wearing my uniform, wearing this dummy's uniform. So anyway, Glenda's phone rang, and our granddaughter, Mayan, is on the line, and she's on a trip to Washington, D.C. And she said, I found it, and she's standing beside that uniform, and she got her picture with that uniform on that airplane, of me on that airplane. Well, just a little footnote to that is when I thought, I looked it up on the internet. I just typed in my name and the uniform and the display that it was in, and it said that the uniform is now in storage. And so I thought they had pulled it down, and that was the end of it. But it had been there for 15 years or so. So anyway, I just forgot it. It was done, and I guess I was happy to be have my uniform on display there for years. But not too long ago, for some reason, I don't know why, I typed it into the computer again on the internet, and it came up, and that uniform is on display now in that aircraft, in that Smithsonian display on the Air and Space Museum. And there are pictures of that uniform on the internet. So that's my little story. So you see, you didn't know it, did you? I'm a famous pilot, see? Anyway, that's my little story. Thanks a lot.